The house is too quiet when I push open the door, and a shiver runs down my spine. I'm home early, hoping to surprise my wife, but the dark, empty hallway greets me instead. The silence isn't right. It sets off alarms in my head. I drop my keys in the bowl by the door, the clatter unnaturally loud in the stillness. Laura! My voice echoes off the walls unanswered. I shrug off my coat, hanging it with a mechanical motion while my eyes scan the living room. Everything is in its place. Cushions neatly piled on the sofa, remote control lined up by the TV stand. No dishes out of place. It's as if a ghost lives here, not the vibrant woman I married. Moving to the kitchen, I notice a glass of wine, half empty, sitting on the counter. Laura never leaves her wine unfinished. I touch the rim of the glass. It's still wet. She was here recently. The wine, a deep red, swirls around as I pick up the glass, sniffing it. Merlot, her favorite. The bottle sits next to the glass, corked and returned to its usual spot. Why did she leave in such a hurry? I pour myself a glass, the liquid's rich aroma filling the air. The familiar scent normally soothes me, but tonight it's just another detail that doesn't add up. I walk over to the large window that overlooks our backyard, the moon casting long shadows across the grass. My phone buzzes in my pocket, a jolt that makes me fumble the glass in my hand. It doesn't break, but wine splashes over the rim, staining my hand. Fishing the phone out, I see a message light up the screen from an unknown number. Miss you already. Last night was magical. My heart stops. It's not addressed to me. It can't be. Laura's phone must have received the same message. This isn't just a wrong number. I try to call her, but it goes straight to voicemail. The digital beep mocks me as I hang up. My mind races. Last night she came home late, murmuring about an emergency at the hospital where she works as a nurse. She had looked flustered, her usual calm demeanor cracked by something I couldn't understand. Sitting down at the kitchen island, I replay the last few days in my head. Laura's late nights, her increased privacy with her phone, her distant kisses. They weren't just the stress of her job. The pieces begin to click together, forming a picture I refuse to accept. I stand abruptly, my chair scraping loudly against the tile floor. Enough wondering, enough doubts. I need to know the truth. I grab my keys and head back to the door. Tonight I'm going to find her, see with my own eyes what's been hidden from me. The quiet house seems to hold its breath as I leave, the echo of the closing door following me into the night. My hands grip the steering wheel as I drive through the night, the neon lights of the city blurring past. The text messages burned into my mind, each word igniting a spark of anger and betrayal that fuels my determination. I follow the route I know Laura takes to the hospital, but tonight I have a sinking feeling it's not her destination. As I approach the outskirts of the city, the familiar outline of the Cedar Inn Motel comes into view. It's a cheap, seedy place where nightly shadows are swallowed by flickering lights. I've always wondered about the stories hidden behind its doors. Tonight, I fear I'm about to learn one myself. I pull into the parking lot, cutting the engine and sitting in the dark. My heart races as I scan the motel, looking for her car. It's here, tucked away in the corner under a broken streetlight, its presence like a physical blow. I take a deep breath, fighting the urge to storm in immediately. I need to be smart about this. I need to know everything. With my phone ready, I quietly exit my car and move towards the motel. The air is heavy with the scent of rain and asphalt. At room 219, I pause. Laughter spills out from a slightly ajar window, her laughter, intertwined with a deeper, unfamiliar voice. I press my ear against the door, my heart hammering in my chest. Can't believe how easy it was to fool him. He has no idea, I hear a man say, his voice smug. Laura's response is a light, flirtatious laugh. Well, he's not exactly the brightest, always so trusting. The words sting, their poison seeping into my veins. I clench my fists, fighting the surge of emotion. This isn't just a fling, it's a betrayal, a game to them. I need to confront this, end it on my terms. I dial her number. The ringtone from inside the room is loud and I hear fumbling, a hurried whisper. Shit, it's him. Laura answers, her voice falsely cheerful. Hey, honey, I'm still at work. Another long night. Go to bed, I'll be home late. I push the door open, stepping into the dimly lit room. They're on the bed, a mess of sheets and scant clothing. The look on their faces, shock, guilt, fear, fuels a bitter satisfaction in me. Work, huh? I say, my voice cold, calm. Laura scrambles up, wrapping a sheet around herself. Mark, it's not what it looks like. Her lover, a muscular guy with a smug face, stares at me, sizing me up. Who is this, Laura? Her hesitation is all the confirmation I need. It's her husband, I say, stepping further into the room. The stupid one. The guy gets up, a smirk forming on his lips. Well, this is awkward. Who are you? My voice is a blade, cutting through the tension. He chuckles, unfazed. I'm the one she's leaving you for. I laugh, a short, humorless sound. And you think she'll stay with you? Once a cheater, always a cheater. Laura's eyes dart between us, her earlier confidence crumbling. Mark, let's just talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. You've made your choices. I turn to leave, then pause. Enjoy your night. I hope he's worth it. Back in my car, the cool detachment that carried me through the confrontation begins to crack. My hands shake as I start the engine. The drive home is a blur of streetlights and shadows, each one echoing Laura's laughter, her words of deception. At home, the silence is a stark contrast to the chaos of my thoughts. I pour a drink, the ice clinking sharply against the glass, the sound a momentary distraction from the turmoil inside me. I sip the whiskey, its burn a small comfort against the cold betrayal. The next morning, I wake up on the couch, the events of last night a heavy weight on my chest. I know I can't just let this go. There has to be more to the story. Why would Laura do this? Who is this man? My curiosity turns to resolve as I decide to dig deeper. Using my skills from my cybersecurity job, I start with her phone records. It's easy enough to bypass the basic security. A few clicks, and I'm in. The records paint a clear picture of deceit. Countless texts and calls to the same number, late-night chats, pictures that twist the knife deeper into my heart. I dig further, tracing her lover's number, finding his name, Derek Sanderson. A quick search brings up a surprising detail. He's not just some random guy. He's known in certain circles and not for good reasons. There are whispers of illegal deals, shady business. Is Laura involved in this too? This discovery shifts everything. It's no longer just about infidelity. It's bigger, darker. I feel out of my depth but driven by a need for the full truth. My next steps are clear. Keep digging, watch, wait. But as I immerse myself deeper into their world, I realize I'm playing a dangerous game. A few days later, as I monitor Laura's messages, a new threat emerges. A text from an unknown number. Stop digging or you'll regret it. The warning is clear, and for the first time, fear mixes with my anger. What have I stumbled into? But I can't stop now. I need answers. I need to see this through no matter what it costs. The path ahead is uncertain, fraught with danger, but I'm compelled to follow it, to expose the truth, no matter how deep the darkness. The world narrows to the glow of my computer screen as I dive deeper into Derek's digital footprint. Hours blur into nights, each click uncovering layers of deception. This man isn't just a seducer. He's a criminal, his tendrils of corruption weaving through dark markets and illicit transactions. My gut churns. Laura, what have you entangled yourself in? My investigations unearthed disturbing connections between Derek and a notorious local gang involved in everything from drug trafficking to arms smuggling. A chill runs down my spine as I realize the gravity of their crimes, the danger lurking just beneath the surface of my mundane life. I can't believe Laura could be part of this. Yet the evidence piles up, undeniable and damning. One late evening, as I scour through another batch of encrypted emails I managed to access from Derek's server, a breakthrough. A series of messages between him and Laura discussing a big job coming up. The words are cryptic, the details sparse, but it's clear they are planning something more serious than I had imagined. The stakes are higher, the risk greater. I lean back in my chair, a cold sweat breaking out across my forehead. This is no longer just about a cheating spouse. It's about criminal activities that could destroy lives. With each revelation, my resolve hardens. I cannot let this go. I must stop them, expose them, but I need more concrete evidence. I decide to track their movements, hoping to catch them in the act. Equipped with only my wits and a need for justice, I follow Derek one night as he meets with shadowy figures in an abandoned warehouse. I stay hidden, my heart pounding as I record everything. Their conversation is muffled, the words echoing off the cold concrete walls, but the exchange of cash and small unmarked packages is unmistakably clear. They are smuggling something, the details of which I can only guess. Drugs? Weapons? My mind races with possibilities, each more sinister than the last. Returning home, I sit in the dark, replaying the footage, the gravity of what I've witnessed settling in. This is bigger than me, bigger than my broken marriage. I need help, but whom can I trust? The police? What if Derek has connections there too? Paranoia gnaws at me, a constant companion in the shadows of my home. Days pass in a haze of surveillance and suspicion. I see Laura less and less. Our home now just a shell of the life we once shared. When she is here, she's distant, her eyes haunted by secrets she doesn't share. Our conversations are brief, superficial, and tinged with the bitterness of betrayal. One afternoon, as I'm reviewing more footage, a loud knock jolts me from my thoughts. My heart stops. I approach the door cautiously, peering through the peephole. Two men, large and imposing, stare back. I don't recognize them, but the intent in their eyes is clear. I don't open the door, instead shouting, "Who are you?" "Just open up, buddy. We need to talk about your little investigation," one of them calls out, his voice menacing. Panic seizes me. They know. Somehow, Derek has sent them. I back away from the door, my mind racing. There's no way out. The back door? No, they'd expect that. I grab my phone, dialing 911, but the line is dead. They've cut it. My only option is to wait them out, hope they leave before breaking in. Hours tick by, my house now a prison. Eventually, the shadows of their feet disappear from under the door, and the street outside falls silent. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding, my body trembling. This is a warning, but also a sign that I'm close, too close for their comfort. That night, I make a decision. I can't do this alone. I contact an old friend from my cybersecurity days, now a private investigator. Tom is skilled, discreet, and most importantly, trustworthy. We meet in a nondescript cafe, the clatter of dishes and murmur of conversation, a comforting normalcy compared to my recent days. Tom listens intently as I lay out everything, the photos, the videos, the stolen emails. His expression is grave as he sips his coffee, his eyes never leaving mine. "This is serious, Mark. You're in over your head." "I know, but I can't back down now. I need to see this through for my own sake and for justice." Tom nods, setting his cup down with a clink. "I'll help you. We need to gather undeniable proof. Get the authorities on our side. It's going to be dangerous, but we'll do it right." Relief washes over me, followed by a renewed sense of purpose. With Tom's help, I feel the tide turning, the power shifting. We devise a plan to catch Laura and Derek during their next big transaction, setting up hidden cameras and preparing for a sting operation that will hopefully bring them both to justice. As I lay in bed that night, the house creaks and sighs around me, the silence a stark contrast to the chaos of my life. My thoughts drift to Laura, to the woman I loved, the woman I thought I knew. The betrayal cuts deep, a wound that festers with each passing day. But beyond the pain, there's a glimmer of something else. Determination, perhaps, or the faint spark of hope that after the storm comes the calm. After the darkness, light. Tomorrow I face the greatest threat yet, but I am ready. The endgame approaches, and with it, a chance for redemption, for closure. Tonight, though, I allow myself a moment of peace, the eye of the storm, before plunging back into the fray. It's the hour before dawn, the darkest part of the night, when everything feels suspended in time. My heart races as Tom and I wait in the shadows, our breath misting in the cool air. We're parked a block away from the warehouse where Laura and Derek are scheduled to make their next move. The night is eerily quiet, the silence amplifying the pounding of my heart. Tom's setup is professional, multiple cameras positioned to catch every angle of the transaction. On his laptop, the live feed flickers with the occasional passing car, the tension palpable between us. Everything's set. Once they show up, we let them start the deal. Then we move in, Tom whispers, his voice steady despite the stakes. I nod, gripping the binoculars tighter, scanning the street for any sign of Laura or Derek. The wait feels interminable, each second stretching out before me. Then a black SUV pulls into the warehouse lot. My stomach knots as I recognize Laura stepping out. She looks around cautiously before disappearing inside the dimly lit building. They're here, I mutter, my voice barely audible. Tom starts recording, his eyes fixed on his screens, cycling through camera angles to keep both Laura and Derek in view. Minutes later, a van pulls up, and several figures step out, meeting Laura and Derek. The exchange begins, shadows moving in a dance of criminality. Boxes are handed over, brief and businesslike. From the grainy footage, it's hard to make out their faces, but the body language is tense, urgent. Tom and I watch, waiting for the right moment to intervene. My fingers twitch, the desire to end this now overwhelming. But we need them caught in the act. Undeniable proof of their wrongdoing. Not yet. Wait for it, Tom murmurs, as if reading my thoughts. Suddenly they're shouting. The figures are agitated, pointing at something out of camera shot. Laura's voice rises, shrill and scared. The deal's going sideways. Tom looks at me, a silent question in his eyes. I nod, and we both exit the car, adrenaline surging through me. We approach cautiously, the sound of our footsteps drowned out by the escalating confrontation. As we round the corner into the warehouse entrance, I see Laura, her face pale in the harsh light, her eyes wide with fear. Derek is arguing with one of the men, his posture aggressive. "Police! Freeze!" Tom shouts authoritatively, though we're not the police. The surprise halts everyone. Hands go up, and for a moment, there's complete stillness. Laura turns, sees me, and her expression crumbles. "Mark?" Her voice is a whisper of disbelief. "Yeah, it's me," I reply, my voice hard. "End of the line, Laura." The standoff is tense. Derek glances around, calculating. In a swift motion, he reaches inside his jacket. Reacting instantly, Tom tackles him to the ground just as a gun clatters across the concrete floor. I kick it away, my heart hammering. Tom cuffs Derek, reading him his rights from a memorized script. The other men are more compliant, fear overtaking them. Laura doesn't resist as I walk over to her, the reality of her situation sinking in. "Why, Laura?" I ask, the pain and betrayal mingling with anger. She shakes her head, tears streaming down her face. "I didn't have a choice, Mark. They threatened me. I got in too deep." "But you did have a choice, Laura. You always did." My voice breaks with the weight of my sadness. The police sirens wail in the distance, growing louder. Tom confirms the call he made earlier. The real authorities on their way. "We've got good footage, and your testimony will help too. They'll get what's coming to them," he assures me, placing a hand on my shoulder. As the police take over, detaining Laura and the others, I stand back, the chill of the early morning seeping into my bones. I watch as Laura is led away, her gaze lingering on me, full of regret and sorrow. It's a look I'll carry with me for a long time, a reminder of the depth of her deception. In the aftermath, the sun begins to rise, casting long shadows across the empty warehouse. The light feels harsh, too bright after the darkness. Tom and I debrief with the police, providing everything they need to build their case. Driving home, the streets are quiet, the city still unaware of the night's drama. My mind replays every moment, every decision that led here. I feel empty, hollowed out by the events. Yet there's a part of me that's relieved. It's over, or at least this chapter is. The legal battles will follow, the trials, the public exposure. But for now, I've done what I set out to do. I park outside my house, the first hints of dawn painting the sky a soft blue. The door feels heavy as I push it open, the silence greeting me like an old friend. I'm alone, truly alone for the first time in what feels like forever. Inside, I pour myself a drink, the clink of ice against glass now a familiar sound. I sink into the couch, the fabric cold against my skin. I close my eyes, the fatigue setting in, a deep, bone-weary exhaustion. But there's also a sense of peace. The storm has passed, the worst of it weathered. I've survived, battered but not broken. And as I sit in the quiet of my living room, I realize that this is just the beginning of a new journey for me, a chance to rebuild and find a path forward from the wreckage of my past. As the sun rises higher, casting light into the dark corners of the room, I feel a weight lift off my shoulders. The fight is over, but the healing is just beginning. I'm ready for whatever comes next, armed with the knowledge that I faced the darkest parts of my life and emerged on the other side. This is my new dawn. The aftermath of the warehouse raid settles into a grim routine. Days bleed into weeks as the legal process grinds forward. I spend long hours with prosecutors explaining the evidence, recounting the events. The weight of the upcoming trial looms over me, a constant reminder of the betrayal. My house feels larger, emptier. Each room whispers memories of Laura, of us. I avoid our bedroom, sleeping instead on the couch where the echoes of her laughter aren't as loud. I throw myself into work, into anything that keeps my mind occupied and away from the gnawing loneliness that settles in during the quiet moments. As the trial date approaches, tension tightens around me like a noose. I meet with Tom regularly, going over our testimony, ensuring our story is bulletproof. He's solid, unshakable, but I feel frayed around the edges, worn thin by the ordeal. On the eve of the trial, I sit in my living room, the TV on mute, flickering images casting ghostly shadows across the walls. My phone rings, slicing through the silence. It's an unknown number, and against my better judgment, I answer. Hello? Mark, it's Laura. Her voice is a soft blow, unexpected and jarring. I stiffen, my hand gripping the phone tighter. Why are you calling? I wanted to hear your voice before tomorrow, to explain, to apologize. I pause, a part of me starving for any semblance of the love we once shared. Another part hardened against her siren call. There's nothing to say, Laura. Please, just let me explain. I was scared, Mark. Derek, he wasn't just a fling. He threatened me, pulled me into things I never wanted. I thought I could handle it, but I was wrong. Her words spill out, a torrent of regret and fear. I listen, a stone in my stomach. It's too late for excuses, too late for tears. You should have come to me. I know I should have. I'm so sorry, Mark. I never meant to hurt you. The apology hangs between us, thick and suffocating. Goodbye, Laura. I hang up before she can say anything else, the finality of the click echoing in the room. The next morning, I walk into the courthouse, my resolve like armor. The trial is a blur of legal arguments, evidence presentations, and witness testimonies. I sit stiffly, my eyes often meeting Laura's across the room. She looks worn, diminished, her eyes haunted. Derek, on the other hand, wears his arrogance like a cloak, smirking at the proceedings with disdain. When it's my turn to testify, I take the stand, my voice steady, my story unflinching. Tom follows, his testimony clinical and precise. The prosecutors are thorough, painting a damning picture of Laura and Derek's activities. The jury deliberates for hours. The wait is excruciating, each minute stretching out endlessly. Finally, they return, their faces solemn, guilty. The word rings out in the courtroom, a stark, satisfying conclusion to the ordeal. Derek is led away, his smugness finally shattered. Laura is granted a plea deal for her cooperation, a lighter sentence that doesn't mask the gravity of her betrayal. In the days that follow, I grapple with the outcome. There's relief, certainly, a closure of sorts, but there's also a hollow victory. Laura's fall from the woman I love to a criminal co-conspirator is a tragedy, a loss that no court ruling can mend. I start to rebuild, slowly. I repaint the living room, turning it from our shared sanctuary into my space. I return to our bedroom, clearing out Laura's belongings, donating them, erasing her presence from my life one piece at a time. Work becomes a refuge, a place where I can lose myself in tasks and deadlines, where I'm not just the man who was betrayed by his wife. My colleagues are supportive, their familiar faces a comfort. I throw myself into new projects, seeking the numbness of exhaustion each night. But healing is not linear. Some days I'm fine, my thoughts clear and focused. Other days I find a photo or a forgotten note, and grief washes over me, raw and unyielding. I learn to ride these waves, to accept the ebb and flow of my emotions. Therapy helps. I sit in a quiet room with a woman who listens without judgment, her notes scribbled in a pad as I unravel the threads of my pain. She doesn't offer easy answers, but she provides a space to speak the unspeakable, to name the betrayal and dissect it, to understand it, and eventually to forgive. Not Laura, but myself. Months turn into a year. The house is fully mine now, each room stamped with new memories, the shadows of Laura and Derek fading into the background. I adopt a dog, a cheerful Labrador, whose boundless energy fills the house with noise and mess and joy. And slowly, imperceptibly, I begin to think about dating again. The thought is terrifying at first, a betrayal of my own, but it's also exhilarating. I'm not the same man who was deceived that night at the motel. I'm stronger, wiser, more aware of the shadows, but also more appreciative of the light. One evening, I find myself at a bookstore, browsing through mystery novels. A woman beside me laughs softly at a funny passage, her eyes crinkling in amusement. We start talking, first about books, then about life. Her name is Emily, and she's a teacher. Her warmth is a balm, her laughter a melody I didn't realize I'd missed. We part with promises to meet again, and as I walk home, a smile plays on my lips. It's not a promise of forever. It's not even a promise of a future, but it's a step, a movement forward, a possibility. That night, I look out at the city from my window, the skyline a mix of light and shadow. I feel a peace I haven't felt in a long time, a sense of being grounded in the present, hopeful for the future. This is my path to resolution, not a road paved with vengeance, but one walked with resilience. And as I turn from the window, ready to face whatever comes next, I know that while the scars remain, they no longer define me. They are simply part of the story I tell, the story of a man who survived, who learned, who loved again. Months after the trial, the sharp edges of the past begin to blur, but certain scars remain. Life is a series of steps forward, occasionally punctuated by inevitable stumbles backward. Today I face one of those stumbles. I'm standing outside a coffee shop, the familiar scent of espresso filling the air, mingling with the unease churning in my stomach. Today I'm meeting Laura for the first time since the trial. She asked to see me, her voice on the phone hesitant but hopeful. Part of me wonders why I agreed, but another part, perhaps the part still processing everything, needs closure, something final and concrete. She arrives looking different, hair shorter, eyes carrying the weight of her consequences. She sees me and pauses, taking a deep breath before approaching. "Mark," she begins, her voice cracking slightly. "Laura." My response is curt, guarded. We sit, the small table between us feeling like miles. "I wanted to thank you," she says, folding her hands nervously on the table, "for not pushing for a harsher sentence." I nod, the words difficult to find. "It wouldn't have changed anything." There's an awkward silence filled only by the clink of coffee cups and the low murmur of other patrons. Finally, I look up, meeting her gaze. "Why did you do it, Laura?" "Really?" She sighs, a deep, sorrowful sound. "Fear, I guess, and greed. Derek made it all sound so easy, so harmless at first, and when I wanted out, he made sure I knew the risks of leaving." Her explanation doesn't soothe the betrayal, but it adds layers to my understanding. "And now," I ask. "Now I'm trying to rebuild too," she says. "Therapy, community service, trying to make amends. It's hard though. I lost so much. I lost you." Her admission hangs heavy between us. I've moved past the raw pain, but her words stir something melancholic within me. "We both lost, Laura." She nods, tears brimming in her eyes. "I'm sorry, Mark. Truly, If I could take it all back, but you can't, I interrupt gently. We have to live with the choices we made. Yes, she agrees, wiping her eyes. We do. We talk a bit more, skirting around the deeper wounds, discussing her steps to rebuild her life and my efforts to find new normalcy. When we part, it's with a handshake, a formal end to our informal catch-up. As I walk away, the finality of the encounter settles in. It's an ending, but also a reaffirmation of my new beginning. Life after Laura isn't just possible, it's happening. In the weeks that follow, I find myself more open to the world around me. Emily and I continue to see each other, each day to step on a path neither of us is sure of, but both are willing to explore. She brings laughter back into my life, something I thought I might never fully enjoy again. One evening, we're walking along the river, the city lights reflecting like stars in the water. You seem lighter, she observes, squeezing my hand. I feel lighter, I admit, realizing it's the truth. The shadows of my past are still there, but they're just that. Shadows, not chains. You know, she continues, whatever happened in your past, it doesn't define you. You're here, with me, now. And I'm really happy you are. Her words warm me, offering comfort and acceptance. I'm happy too, I say, meaning it more than I've expected. As autumn turns to winter, the city dusts over with snow, cloaking everything in a pristine, white blanket. It's beautiful, peaceful, a visual metaphor for my own life's new coating. The holidays approach, and for the first time in a long while, I feel genuinely excited. Emily and I host a small gathering at my house, a mix of her friends and mine, filling the space with noise, warmth, and joy. The house, once a mausoleum of my old life, now buzzes with new memories being crafted. During the party, I steal a moment to step outside, the cold air sobering. Looking back through the window, I see Emily laughing, her head thrown back, her happiness infectious. My guests are chatting, enjoying the evening, comfortable and content in my home. It's a stark contrast to the solitude that once dominated these rooms. This gathering marks more than just a festive occasion. It represents the chapters yet to be written. The past may be a part of my story, but it's not the entire narrative. I have the power to script new experiences, new joys, and perhaps new love. Stepping back inside, I join the laughter, the conversations, the life of the party. Emily catches my eye across the room and smiles, a silent message of companionship and support. The night winds down, guests depart with thanks and hugs, and Emily helps me clean up. You did a great job tonight, she says, stacking plates. Couldn't have done it without my co-host, I reply, bumping her shoulder lightly with mine. She grins, placing the last dish in the rack. I think we make a pretty good team. I think so too, I agree, pulling her close. We stand in the quiet aftermath, the echo of the party lingering like a sweet melody. It's clear, in this moment, that my journey through darkness has led me to a place of light, of hope. As Emily and I turn off the lights and head upstairs, I reflect on the transformation my life has undergone, from despair to resilience, from betrayal to trust. My path has been anything but straightforward, but perhaps the detours, the setbacks, were necessary. In the darkness of my bedroom, with Emily's steady breathing beside me, I realized that this is what moving forward looks like. It's not forgetting the past, but learning from it, growing beyond it, and allowing yourself to embrace the joy that awaits. And as sleep claims me, I'm grateful for the trials that tested me, for they have led to this newfound peace. The journey isn't over, but for the first time in a long while, I'm excited to see where it leads. As I stand on the balcony of my home, overlooking the bustling street below, cloaked in the golden hues of a setting sun, I reflect on the tumultuous journey that has brought me here. The air is crisp, the first whisper of spring mingling with the remnants of winter's chill. This moment, peaceful and ordinary, feels like a hard-earned victory. Inside, the house is quiet, save for the soft music playing in the background and the occasional clink of dishes as Emily cleans up after our early dinner. The normalcy of this scene, once taken for granted, now feels precious, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. I turn as Emily joins me on the balcony, wrapping her arms around my waist. "What are you thinking about?" she asks, resting her head against my back. "Just how far I've come," I reply, covering her hands with mine. "How much has changed?" She squeezes gently, understanding without needing further explanation. We stand together in silence, watching the day fade into the soft blush of twilight. Later, as we settle into the living room with cups of tea, I ponder the finality of this chapter in my life. The legal battles are over, the emotional upheavals have settled, and the future beckons with a gentle, inviting hand. Emily picks up an old photo from the coffee table, one taken during a particularly happy time before my world turned upside down. "You look different now," she observes, not just noting the physical changes. "Stronger, I hope," I say, taking the photo to look. The man in the picture smiles back, naive and blissfully unaware of the storm that was to come. "You are," she confirms. "You've grown. We both have." This acknowledgement, simple yet profound, cements my realization that recovery is not just about moving on, but growing from the experiences that once threatened to break me. As we talk, I share more about the past, not with sadness, but with the clarity of reflection. Each word I speak stitches the old wounds close, leaving scars but also incredible lessons of trust, forgiveness, and the importance of facing one's fears. Emily listens, her presence a steady comfort. When I finish, she reaches across the space between us, taking my hand. "I'm proud of you," she says sincerely. "Not many could walk your path with such courage." Her words, filled with warmth and admiration, lift a weight from my shoulders, one I hadn't fully realized I was still carrying. "Thank you," I whisper, feeling a profound gratitude not just for her support, but for the chance to find love again after so much pain. The conversation shifts gradually to lighter topics. The book she's reading, my new project at work, plans for a summer vacation. Laughter fills the room, the sound a melody that dances around the corners, chasing away any lingering shadows. Later that night, as I sit alone in my study, I begin to write. Not just an account of what happened, but a reflection on what it means to rebuild one's life after betrayal and heartache. The words flow easily, cathartic, and healing. I write about the nights of despair, the mornings of determination, and the afternoons of doubt. I write about the people who stood by me, the lessons I learned about human nature, and the realization that while I could not control what happened to me, I could control how I responded. Finishing the last paragraph, I lean back in my chair, feeling a sense of completion. This document, perhaps to be shared, or perhaps just for me, serves as a final punctuation mark on a long and complex sentence. Closing my laptop, I join Emily upstairs where she's already in bed reading. She looks up and smiles, marking her place with a finger. "All done?" she asks. "All done," I confirm, sliding into bed beside her. We turn off the lights, and in the darkness, I feel her reach for my hand, her grip firm and reassuring. As I drift off to sleep, I think about the future, not with fear or anxiety, but with curiosity and excitement. The trials of the past have prepared me for whatever lies ahead, equipped me with strength, wisdom, and compassion, tools more valuable than any I possessed before. And in this quiet moment before sleep claims me, I realize the truth that binds all of my experiences together. Life doesn't always go as planned, but every end is just a new beginning, every closure a gateway to new opportunities. The story concludes here, but my journey does not. It continues with every sunrise, every smile from Emily, every moment of peace in my reclaimed life. And as I finally drift into sleep, I am content with the knowledge that while some chapters end, the book of life opens again, always ready for the next story to unfold.